Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to Koco's Corner. I am the huge one, aka the idiot Dave Koco from DAVEKOCO.com and KocoSports.net. It's where the world comes to kick ass, your home for combat sports, and above all, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. And we're trying something new. We have to have the first one to have the 100th one. I'm literally just trying something new because we're doing it new. Anyway, we have a special guest on today, Yuri the Black. Yuri the Black, do you have yourself a little opening? Hot tag to you.
A little opening, Dave. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Yuri the Black, pro wrestling manager of champions and self-proclaimed face of Australian pro wrestling. Always bet on black, baby. How are we today? What is the topic today?
All right. So I'm a loser in Japan. And what are you? The winner of Australia? No, it's so funny. I'm always like, man.
Manager of champions, my friend.
Manager of champions. I always say people, because we usually have an American co-host, I'm like, man, you're on the other side of the planet. You might be the closest co-host we've ever had. It's like, we got some guy down in Australia. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. Maybe we'll have to have Scrub in Japan or come with that. Oh, there's Larry. Larry said hello. All right, today's topic.
Larry.
What do we look for in pro wrestlers? Because, you know, I'm a promoter, writer, and podcast extraordinaire, and I critique the fuck out of these people because I'm an asshole. But people are like, well, what do you look for that's good? And you are, you know, part of promotion. You are a manager, a mouthpiece. You're getting into the podcasting stuff. You're a Twitch streamer, so you give your opinion sometimes. But a lot of times it's easy to tear someone down. It's like, you fucking suck. Boo. But we have to list what we actually like. So we'll start at the highest of the high level and work our way down to the levels that we have seen and below. So we will say what we see in a pro wrestler. So for you, what do you look for in a pro wrestler? We're talking at the highest of high levels.
Like I want something that's relatable, something that I can either like have that connection with, something that will like if they go down a comedy route, for example, or if they do something ridiculous that makes me laugh, and I'm like, yo, that's funny, and I can pop. I'm like, man, I'm a mutt. So like a good example of that, a good example of that would be somebody like Outlandish Zicky Dice. So he's very close to the top level when it comes to working in the top promotions and whatnot. It's just, I think, with his character, I remember when I first saw him, I'm just kind of like, who's this idiot? Like, I'm like, what's the idea behind his character? But then the more that I've gone ahead and watched him, and it was just like, because I'm one of those people, I like people being animated. I like people being out there. I'm like, if I can relate to that, this is funny. Or this is great, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, but I guess it's, yeah, like, do you get kind of what I'm trying to say in that particular instance, Dave? I'm just getting a little bit lost for words right now.
Yeah, no, I understand. I am not over the top character driven. I like characters like Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, where you can like meet someone and be like, wow, that guy's over the top. I don't like, and this is very unpopular, I don't like the Undertakers, the Kanes, because to me, like, in that universe, it just seems silly. Lucha Underground did it very well. Because they were like, this isn't real. None of it's real. It's, you know what I mean? It's like not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be their universe. Where WWE and big companies like AEW, they're like, it's our universe, but it's also real. You know, they bounce back and forth. Where Lucha Underground was like, no, this is a TV show. You are stepping into that universe. So if you're not going to do what Lucha Underground is, and not many people do, I want it to be more realistic. You know, you could see a Dusty Rhodes being real. You could see Ric Flair being real. And as far as comedy goes, comedy wrestling is hard. For two reasons. A lot of it's bad. A lot of it's bad. And the second is, I think, and this is just my opinion, once again, what we're looking for in pro wrestling, and this is more of a pro wrestling company. If you have one great comedy wrestler, that's all you need. I don't think you need 4 or 5 comedy wrestlers. Like, in New Japan, you have Yano. So everyone else that does comedy is a waste. WWE back in the day, I thought Santino Marella was hitting home runs with comedy. So you don't need two Santino Marellas. So, as a company, I'm like, I'm okay with comedy. And but it either has to be realistic comedy or just one guy. It has to be, if you see a Yano and a Santino Marella on the same card, you're just like, okay, dude, we only need one of yous. Maybe I'm thinking like a promoter. Like, I only need to pay for one of yous. The other guy, get the hell out. But yeah, as far as that goes, what I look for, and I like all different styles of pro wrestling. I know, I'm what I started calling, me and my friends started calling ourselves, because we're older and we work a lot. We call ourselves 5-star chasers. Like, if you ain't fucking bringing 5 stars, I got shit to do. So lately I've become a 5-star chaser, but I can follow any style of pro wrestling as long as there's effort. I want to sit down and lose myself and be like, those 2 athletes, 4 athletes, whatever, they're going all out. Now, you can be going all out in a technical match, hardcore match, anything. I just don't want to sit there and be like, is this motherfucker even trying? So I think going all out, depending on the style, is very important to me. You want to add something?
Yeah. Sorry if I was about to
No
talk
worries.
over you.
We'll get the chemistry down. We'll get the chemistry down, Yuri.
It's like so with the initial thing, it's like I'm not saying that I exclusively like think. It's just you're 100% on the money when it comes to. It's like you don't want because I guess with the whole comedy wrestling, it's a niche. You at least only need the one. You don't need to have it drowned out by about 20 different people. Otherwise, it takes that magic out of it. You're 100% right with when you mention guys like your Ric Flairs, your Dusty Rhodes and stuff. You want guys that are real, relatable. Um, like the number of times that it's like when I was doing shows to try and get back into wrestling, I did one match and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of not. I'm a bit old for this. I'm kind of not cut out to really wrestle anymore, just with the way that I am. And I think I'll just stick to managing and all that sort of stuff. Like the number of times it's like, oh, like I had my best friend sit in the audience. I'll go sit next to my friend, just to go ahead and watch the show and whatnot. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, the number of times that I've kind of sat down and I'm like, all right, I like what this and like that person's doing, like that sequence or this and that. But then it's like, what in the hell are they doing? It's like, nah, I don't like the conversations that I have. It's like, like you can kind of tell it's like some people, like in your eyes, you think that like they're great people because you know them, but they're not quite ready to kind of be put in that position, or they're not quite ready to have a match. And it's like, and it's just heartbreaking to see as well. Sorry if I've kind of
Yeah,
diverted off.
I've been in the hot seat a lot for the IWGP title. Like what you're describing, I feel, because there's always that title that's special to you. There's always that company that's special to you. And what you're saying
Yeah,
here, I get a lot of heat on this channel. Granted, we're rebuilding it, but we get a lot of heat because I don't think you should be the IWGP champ or the heavyweight champ until you've earned it. Like, if you want to have
oh
upsets,
yeah,
sure, that's what the IC title's for. If you want to have upsets, that's what the Never title's for. If you want to have upsets, cool. And even if you do have an upset, it should be like every 10 years, not every
yes.
fucking second or third month of the year. So yeah, I agree with that. I just know that like what you're saying, have I got heat on this channel before for that?
It's just I'm in the same boat, man. It's like the amount of opinions that I've had, people outright, like people have either had a go at me or it's like, nah, you're a Jim Cornette. It's like, but the thing is that if I go ahead and criticize something, it's not because I want to drag people down. No, it's because I want people to get better, and I want everyone to get better as a whole. But there is so much stuff, like so many pet peeves with what I like in a wrestler, whether it would be like stuff either out, like obviously in the ring, or stuff like comes to being raised up in the business and the backstage stuff as well. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
professionalism and it's just kind of like it's just I feel like that there's certain wrestlers out there, at least from a performance standpoint, when it comes to backstage that need to be knocked down a peg because they're getting a bit too big for their boots. And like they try to dictate going, oh, but I've worked too hard um to get into this position, or I've worked too hard to build up my character. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to understand that if you're told to do something by either a booker man or the promoter, you got kind of got to do it, right, within reason.
Yeah, and
You can't go out it. It's not about like in one instance, yeah, the whole idea of the game, as you can agree with me, is to try and get yourself over.
yeah, and I agree. And
But
I'm a promoter. You work backstage a lot, but I think there's been like 10 plus years. And maybe times have changed because you're always talking about like how people don't listen to you. It's weird. I
oh
found
yeah, no,
YouTuber commenters question my booking and strategies way more than Naito. Way more than fucking I name drop people that fucking WWE legends.
yeah,
I booked a shit ton of fucking people, and never once have they had it. Maybe it's just maybe it was because it was 10 years earlier than when you did it. Maybe it's because we ran a tight ship, and if you didn't, you were out. I don't know the situation, but like when
yeah,
you say people don't listen to the booker, I don't remember that ever happening. And I'm not a tough guy. I assure you. I'm 5'11", unless you're a hot chick. Then I say I'm 6 foot.
yeah,
I'm a fat, broken Marine. Back in the day I was a Marine, so But you see me, you're just like, that guy's not that fucking intimidating. But you can still run a tight ship. The reason why you can run a tight ship is if you have the rules set up, and you're not jumping around everywhere. You're not putting yourself over. Listen, when you're a promoter, no one should know who the promoter is. That's a good promoter. Vince McMahon has changed it, and Vince McMahon was super successful. Watered down Vince McMahons are the saddest, most pathetic fucking thing on the indie scene. There is nothing more pathetic than that. And if you're the promoter, no one should know you're the promoter. Like you're a manager. So let's say you promote a show. When people leave, they shouldn't say, "Oh,
yeah.
there's Yuri the Black, the promoter." They should say, "There's Yuri the Black, the character or the manager or the
For
pro
the
wrestler."
record, for the record, I'm not a promoter. I'm just a performer slash manager.
But
Just
I
say,
never remember having a problem. Like, and the problems were like maybe on three attempts. And normally this is how like a problem went. And I'm saying three times I had a problem out of hundreds and hundreds of shows. And this is how it went. I think I should be paid more. Our policy. And they storm off. And then they cool down and come back and be like, "You're right. This is what I agreed to." Because we were talking about this promoter wise. If you're a promoter, no one should know you're the promoter except the workers, because then you get inside information that you would never get. Second, and I mean by inside information, not like backstage. That's once you're a promoter, that shit is useless to you. I'm saying like what the fans think. Because like people thought I was just a cameraman. So they would come up to me and be like, "Dude, that fucking storyline didn't work out." But if they knew that I was the promoter, they wouldn't have said that. So then you get in. That's the inside information that promoters should want. That's not the ones the promoters go for. And
yeah,
the second thing is just that, yeah, you just run a tight ship and run it what you believe, and you shouldn't have this problem. Now, I don't know if down in Australia it's the promoters. I don't know if it's different talent, but I don't remember. Like the closest I've ever had was, "I don't think this is going to work. All right, let's sit down and talk about it." And even,
mm,
when I worked with the biggest companies, I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, and I never remember like ever being bullied or threatened. I've seen some WWE guys threaten other people, but I was never in that situation. It
yeah.
was just, "Hey, I don't think this is a good idea. All right, let's sit down and talk about it." So I don't know. I don't know if it's a different atmosphere, a different time, but what do you look for backstage?
What do I look for backstage? First and foremost, respect and professionalism. But that could be like this. It's a big spectrum, or it's a small spectrum. I'm glad that you actually mentioned this, right? It's like, I'll go like, all right. I think what I'll do in this situation is I'll start with what I like to see in that situation when it comes to either a rookie or somebody who's starting out in the business, right? And I'll give you an example, like we had a little bit of a chat off air. Um, right, so there's this one guy. I won't go ahead and name drop just for the sake of um just for the sake of the protection of
Hulk
this individual.
Hogan.
Sorry,
I just screamed Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
You're
Uh,
like, I
um,
won't name
right,
drop the Hulkster.
so at the main promotion that I'm working at, we've got this young guy. I think he's about early to mid-20s, Maltese kid, great kid, absolutely love him. I got all the time in the world for him. We get along great. He's just really respectful to everyone. Everyone loves having him around. But he's one of those people. It's like he's dabbled in reffing. People are like, oh, hey, dude, can you ref for us tonight? We're kind of down to ref. Oh, yeah, cool. No worries. Without question, he goes, yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and do that. No worries. If you go, oh, hey, do you want to be involved in this spot? No. Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. He might just clarify, going, hey, what do you want me to do? And go, otherwise, if he's unsure about something, he'll clarify. Without hassle, right? He'll go out of his way to pull up and pack down the ring, help out where it needs to be packed out, and doesn't complain. And then on the other hand, you've got a few of the other rookies who it's like they were initially a ref or whatever else. It's like, hey, can you ref for us? No, because they've gone ahead and had a taste of being a wrestler. Oh, can you go ahead and do this for me, or can you help so and so with selling merch? Oh, no. You get where I'm coming from, at least with the guys that are like paying their dues.
Yeah. See, I never had that problem. Um, Maybe it's because like if I had that problem, you'd just be out of my company. See, I think yeah, I think maybe that's it. Like, hey man, I don't want to sell merch. That's a cool story, bro. There's the door. I don't want to be a referee. But yeah, and a lot of that too might just be the promoters being unprepared. Let's talk.
Oh yeah,
That's the good things. Let's talk about red flags. These are red flags that I have. If you're a promoter, you have enough money to pay everyone when you walk into that building. Second, you have an agreement with every single person on that roster what their pay is going to be. If there's 10 people in the crowd, you pay them what you agreed upon. If it's WrestleMania 3 and the place is packed beyond belief, you pay them what you agreed upon. And I think that brings a lot of professionalism, and I think a lot of promoters don't do that. Now on to wrestlers. These are my red flags, especially in the indie level. I'm a technical wrestler. There are so many bad technical wrestlers on the indie scene. So to me,
yeah.
when you say you're a technical wrestler, you gotta pause, look me in the eyes, and be like, I'm a good technical wrestler. Because nothing pisses me off than having an out-of-shape fucker get in a goddamn pro wrestling ring and fucking fall asleep on an armbar saying he's a technical genius. I think MMA, UFC, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the world is a smarter place. And technical wrestling back in the day was way better than it is today. Don't do
Basics.
pretend MMA. Just really put in effort. So like if I let's say I ran a show and I had no idea who you were. You're like, Yuri Black sent me here. I'm a technical wrestler. You better say you're fucking good because I'm gonna instantly roll my fucking eyes and give oh, you're a technical wrestler. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's the big thing that fucking is a red flag that you're not a good wrestler. And it's sad because there is good technical wrestlers. But there's also a lot. I would say in percentage-wise. You get cruiserweights, you got a 50-50 shot at being good. You got, you have hardcore. You got a 50-50 shot being good. I'm saying if you have no idea who this indie guy is. You have WWE brawling style. If someone goes, oh, I'm like WWE brawling style. That's the easiest style, hence why WWE does it. That's usually 80 to 90% good. But the problem is, if you don't look like $1 million, you look like an idiot. The Rock. Yes. I'm a skinny fuck with a tiny belly. I can't fucking do the Rock's moveset and make it look fucking good. It would look stupid. So if you have the look, that's why WWE is so safe. Their style is definitely the easiest to pull off. And then if you come up to me and you're an indie wrestler and you say you're technical, 98.9% of those wrestlers are the fucking drizzling shits. Just the fucking worst. So maybe if you're a pro wrestler and you're introducing yourself to a promoter that you never met before, try to come up with a different word than technical. Because I see fat, out of shape people holding arm bars loosely for 10 minutes at a time. That's what I see. Yuri, what are some red flags for you, brother?
Sorry?
What's some red flags for you as far as
Red flag, like
for any wrestling
you
world?
you've hit the nail on the head in terms of about it comes down to the look. You need to market yourself as a wrestler. It's like the number of wrestlers and a lot of I see guys they constantly go to wrestling training. They'll do wrestling training, which is great, but they look like shit. They don't go to the gym or they don't take care of themselves. You get where I'm coming from? Like
Yeah,
they need to. If you're going to be a wrestler, you need to look the part,
I,
right? Like
I
at least
go ahead, sir.
sorry, like it's like the way that I look at it, right? Or at least it depends on your side. At least because obviously with wrestlers, that they are all shapes and sizes. WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, like ECW, WCW was a good, like a good example of that. If you don't necessarily look the part, or if you look like you're out of shape but you can go, at least wear something to make you look the part and that looks flattering.
Yeah, and I I agree with you a little bit because I'm kind of a muscleist where if I see a wrestler with giant
Yeah,
muscles, I assume they can't work and give them 2 minutes on a card. But
really.
I also
Okay.
have this rule: the smaller and out of shape you are, the better you better be in that fucking ring. Like
Yes.
if you're
Oh
smaller,
yeah.
if you're smaller, you better be doing some shit that big guys can't do. And if you're out of shape, you better be fucking amazing because Misawa, Samoa Joe, they're not fitting the WWE body type. But you get one fucking chop, they stole the fucking arena. They're like, oh, these motherfuckers are for real.
Yeah.
And the same thing with smaller guys. You know, Rey Mysterio, Liger, in their primes, of course. Ricochet. If if you're smaller and out of shape, there is so much more pressure on your fucking performance. Like, I love Samoa Joe probably more than a straight man should. If Samoa Joe went out there and worked the style of a John Cena or Randy Orton, he would be fucking completely worthless.
Yeah.
And that's the
I
thing.
would be
So I think
believability out the window.
the smaller and more out of shape you are, the better you better be on a ring. You know, and here's the thing, you name drop Rob Terry. He goes out to the fucking ring. People are like, ooh, he's got muscles. Fucking 2 minutes. Fucking choke slam him. Fucking leave. You know what I mean? But not everyone looks like Rob Terry. Not everyone looks like
Yeah.
that. So the more the bodybuilding you are, the less you are. Now, if you're a fucking Mike Awesome, woo wee, you got the best of both worlds. That's pure
One
fucking
of my
money.
favorite
If
staves.
you're a cage, you're outdating yourself when you're dropping Mike Awesome references. But if you're a cage, you know what I mean, and you can go
Oh
and you're
yeah.
huge, that's just pure fucking money. Pure money. A young Brock Lesnar. Later Brock Lesnar was a different style to protect him. He did a great job. A lot of people hate Brock Lesnar, but I think he did a great job protecting himself. But early Brock Lesnar, he was a beast. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
so there you go. And yeah, so overall, that's what I look for in pro wrestling. Do you want to add anything else, Yuri?
Yeah, man. And you want to know what like one of my major pet peeves and what kind of has killed wrestling a bit, and I'm sure you may agree with me,
All right, what's
is the
that?
internet. Right? It's the internet. But let me touch on the internet, right?
All right, I'm gonna let
I'm
you touch, but I don't know if we're gonna agree as much as you think we are. Go on.
All right, so I'm going to use, but more so, I'm going to go ahead and use this example because I can guarantee that what I'm about to say more than likely never happened when you were promoting,
All right, go on.
right? So we've got all the good, like we've got all the young kids, right? Obviously, they go do the shows, yeah, yeah, yeah. I notice a lot of them they don't like. It's basically this gets into what I'm trying to say, right? Initially, they'll go out do their match like either they did all right or they're not over and stuff. They'll go up to people, they'll go up to their friends. It's like, oh, how did I do? And they'll seek for that praise. Go, oh yeah, you did really well. But
Uh,
it's like you'll see them kind of crack it or be a little bit as soon as you tell them going, yeah, yeah, no. Like you tell them, no, no, that really wasn't that good. But it's like they'll go around to their friends and they'll get them to circle jerk each other about how good they are. And then translating into what I'm about to say with the internet, right? During the COVID, one fucking pet peeve, and I got massive hate for this. Look, I'm just gonna say it now. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. Suck my dick. You guys are fucking idiots. You shouldn't be fucking doing that when it should be up to the promoter. They jump on fucking Instagram and going, ah, like, and I was guilty of that a little bit in the beginning until I realized I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. They put up these a picture of themselves with a little question box on Instagram. Who do you want to see me wrestle? Who do you want to see me wrestle post COVID? And it's all the wrestlers. It's like I get this bullshit excuse going, oh, it's a way for the fans to be interactive with the wrestlers and stuff. You might have one fan comment going, oh, I want to see you wrestle Mr. Wrestling 6727. But then, other than that, it's all the other young rookies circle jerking themselves, going, "I want to see you wrestle so and so," and they'll put their name. You get where I'm coming from, and I'm like, just stop circle jerking each other. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's fucking embarrassing. Like, you would have never had to deal with that, Dave. Like, and it's just frustrating to see, and I'm like, just show respect to the business and leave it up to the actual bookers. It's not. It's like I don't understand the gratification of people circle jerking each other. It's kind of like, say for example, right, like just say if you were to put that up and you're like, oh, who do you want to see me wrestle? And I put Yuri the Black. Oh yeah, let's do it. Rah, rah, rah. Bring it on. And I'm like, or it's like, where do you want to see me wrestle? And then people put like certain promotion, X Championship Wrestling here, B Wrestling Federation there, F Wrestling Organization. It's just I'm like, it just makes them look shit and makes them look low budget and unprofessional in my personal opinion. And it fucking irritates me because they're circle jerking each other, and half of them really like. Look, I'm not going to say that I'm good. I'm not going to say that I'm bad. But it just made half of them are shit. They're just shitbaggers, and that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you caught me off guard because I am very pro internet and pro wrestling. But to me, I don't think that's an internet problem as much as stupidity.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I think one of the some of the best guys in the world promote themselves beyond belief on there. But asking who do you want to wrestle is kind of like a waste of fucking time. And I don't agree with Vince McMahon on a lot of things, but he always says don't fucking book yourself in an angle that doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? He always says that, like when people try to like book an angle with CM Punk. They're like, CM Punk's not in a fucking company. What the fuck are we booking this angle for? Stop. You're a fucking idiot. So I think you should get yourself out there. You shouldn't do it that way.
Of course.
You definitely shouldn't do it that way. And the problem is too, it's like they have a kayfabe problem on the internet, especially WWE. And I pick on WWE because I pick on WWE because most pro wrestling in indie world copies them. They're like, oh, we're so original. No, you're just WWE without a budget. You're not very original. The problem with WWE's, kayfabe problem is when they do interviews, they want pro wrestling to be real. But then when they're cutting promos in the ring, they wink at the camera and be like, none of this is real. And it shouldn't be that way. And I think because WWE has a kayfabe problem, then 90% of the independent wrestling has a kayfabe problem. You can't be like, Yuri the Black, I want to fucking challenge you to a fucking wrestling match. They'll be like, hey, Yuri, fucking so you want to eat some cupcakes? Like the next post. It's just get yourself out there without making yourself look stupid. And it's a hard balance. What's his name? The Panda Kid from AEW does a great job. I apologize, I can't think of his fucking name.
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara. If you want to know how to promote yourself, that's how you fucking do it. That kid, I love him. And the thing is, I love him because he came from, the indie area from where I came from. And when he first started, a lot of indie wrestlers were like, that's fucking dumb. And as a promoter, I was
Believe it or not,
I would have 50,000 of him. Like right now, if you could promote yourself, like, but Sammy, he wouldn't go on there and be like, I want to fight Jericho in AEW because he's not fucking a dumbass. He wouldn't go fucking to like, ooh, Triple H is gonna have an open challenge. Who's it gonna be? And he's not gonna be on his own account. Me, you know. So try to follow in his footsteps, because as a promoter, if you had a roster of people that tried as hard as him, you would be bigger than ECW and Paul Heyman's day. You would be fucking making a full-time living. If anyone had the heart and dedication and used social media like him, can you just imagine have a roster full of people like that? I don't not in ring, not style. I'm just saying promoting wise, it would be beyond amazing. All right, go ahead, Yuri. You're gonna add something?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, and just speaking of Guevara, he's actually the current Adrenaline Pro Wrestling Gladiator champion. Adrenaline Pro Wrestling is one of the promotions that's actually out here in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia.
Well, KocoSports is a little bit of
Believe
a
it or not.
down rut, but we have to start getting more Australian. Maybe you could be the Australian guy. Would you like to be
The
Australian
Australian
KocoSports
correspondent.
guy?
I could definitely try, dude. I could definitely try and do that with what I can
Because
see.
like I always found interest in Japan wrestling. North American wrestling I just follow because I'm from America. I dabble in luchador stuff, and Europe I want to get involved, but I haven't. You know what I mean? It's like to-do list. I didn't even fucking put Australia on the map, man. I just like, what? There's wrestling down there? Son of a biscuit and cheese. I think the only wrestling we saw was like a Jeff Jarrett super pay-per-view. How is the wrestling scene in Australia?
It's like either you could say really well or really shit. I guess it just depends on
so
where you
so it's like the
go.
rest of the world.
And it's like I like to think that I do have my finger on the pulse. Like it would be a lie to say that I 100% do. I know bits and pieces. I talk to people to find out what sort of going on. It's like because I've got friends who are workers and performers and who are going to debut very soon in a couple of different states like Western Australia, Perth, Queensland, Sydney, and all that. So I've got my ties to I think a few of those different states there. And it's like, but the thing is, it's like what I think. I think that, or at least in the doors that I see, I feel like that what I see is a bit shambles. That it's like having conversations with my friends that are interstate, and it feels like I'm like, man, I wish I was wrestling there. And a lot of them go, nah, trust me, you don't. But it's kind of like, I guess it's like what you don't see, or if you go there every once in a while, you're like, this is a breath of fresh air. I'm not having to deal with the same old shit in the same place all the time. I'm sure that you'd understand what I'm saying as well there.
Yeah, definitely. There's especially when I promoted down in Florida, there is the elite, and there's not the elite, and then there is the elite that can't draw, and then there's the shit that can draw. Yeah, I guess it's that same way. A lot of it is just off the promoters and the image they you know show off. Because that's the thing. Like, Florida was weird. I thought, you know, I thought we were a completely average company with nothing but heart, determination, and like promoting and booking. Like, I don't think we had the best roster, but we had the best of the locals. And it did really good because then they also had other companies that would bring down everyone and they couldn't outdraw us. So, and not only that, but that stuff builds confidence to your team. You know what I mean? It's like being a small market team. Let's just say the Ottawa Senators, but you're outdrawing the Toronto Maple Leafs. It feels
Yeah.
good. So, yeah, I guess there's always a mixed bag, and there'll always be what they call outlaws or independents, and there'll be those that the product's absolutely amazing. I always found that to be weird. Like, there was promoters down in Florida that would have the best fucking cards in the world and no one would show up. And I'm just like, do you not realize that's your job? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, what? You have CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, and 10 people in the crowd? The fuck, man? You had a job. Oh, man.
Can we put a quick pause on that at the moment, Dave? I should
Sure.
quickly do something. All right, one moment. Oh,
I don't know what he's doing. What do you think he's doing? I should have told him we don't really edit this. Anyway, check out Yuri the Black on Twitch. I just put him on mute for a second. I'll see when he comes back. Yeah, follow Yuri the Black on Twitch. He's a streamer, and you can find out more. I'm on Twitch, KocoSports, YouTube. I definitely should have told him we don't edit this out because this is kind of awkward. We're going to try to do this more with more different guests from around the world, learn different pro wrestlings, have different topics. Slowly but surely. I wanted to do this stuff daily, but with my schedule, it's been very, very rough, you know? And I'm not a big fan of when people say stuff, it's because of what's in the air, you know? But at the same time, it's like, I got to be to work 6 hours early. I have to do this. So I'm hoping to do more shows. Hopefully you guys like this. We'll get some more different people on. Maybe we'll have Yuri the Black back on. So it'll be really great. I don't, where do you think he's going? I should have mentioned we don't edit. Oops. Mistakes were made. So, okay, he's back.
Dude,
yeah, Yuri, I should have told you. We're One Take KocoSports. Like, I was promoting your Twitch and talking about our future plans. Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
We don't edit anything on KocoSports. We're One Take Dave. That's what they call me around here. One Take Dave. I was like, when's he coming back? Because you're like, I just paused the video.
I'm so sorry.
Did you say pause or something? I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
we don't do that here. We don't do that here. What the fuck? Pause. Edit. Cut. Come on, Yuri. What do you think we're doing here?
I didn't get that. I wasn't briefed on that.
No worries. I'm just we just promoted your Twitch, my Twitch, and talked about the channel updates. Oh my god. We just had one of those moments where like you're cutting a promo and like you're just, you know, this happens all the time in pro wrestling. I think Sid Vicious made it popular. I think the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega mocked it. You're like, can we start over? I'm gonna start from the top, and you're like, we're live. Yeah, we don't edit it, but I was like, this motherfucker thinks we edit shit. You definitely do. All right, so where were we before we got distracted?
I forgot. I literally forgot.
maybe that's what we should have ended with. All right, so yeah. But yeah, we can come up with more topics. We can come back. Yuri the Black, whenever you're available, make it. I'm hoping to rebuild Coco's.
One more thing.
Okay, well, one more thing. Not so fast, my fellow friends. One more thing. Go ahead, Yuri.
One more thing. The ability to get over.
The ability to get over.
Right? Like, obviously, yeah, like, it can be hit and miss with rookies. There's certain guys who can just pick it up like that. There's guys that are all right at it. And there are guys who are just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Right? But it's kind of like going that because what happened with me for all intensive purposes, right? I wrestled for about on and off for about a 5-year period from about 2004, like 2004, 2006. So what, 4 years, right? And then I had like something like 14 or 16 years off in between. Obviously, it took me a couple of shows to kind of get going again, but it was a big jump from being a pro wrestler from when I was younger compared to being a thing. But it's like, what are the guys who have been wrestling that little while, who are still rookies, what are their excuses? If I can get over and I haven't done it for like 14 or 15 years, what's their excuse for not doing that? Like, not being able to get over. But then it's also...
I think it's a mixed bag. It's confidence.
Yeah, of course.
It's giving bad advice. And, you know, I hate if I could say it because it's overused. It's an it factor. I've seen wrestlers that are 5-star wrestlers that can't get over. I've seen bags of shit get over. I've seen, you know, it is.
100%.
And you don't want to force it. That's the thing. Like, if you're a booker or a promoter and someone is naturally over and you don't have to shove them down people's fucking throats, you gotta ride that fucking wave out. You know, nowadays getting over is we're just going to keep fucking marketing this guy and get him to win. But that wasn't always the case. There was, you know, so you didn't have to, like, let's just pick Ric Flair. You didn't have to fucking market the shit out of him. And even Hulk Hogan, you didn't have to market the shit out of him. He was a marketing flyer tool, but he wasn't on every week. He was, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He was something special. Now we live in a generation of John Cena, Randy Orton, Dave Batista, Roman Reigns, who I heard has been doing pretty good on SmackDown. I haven't watched him, so we got to put an asterisk on Roman Reigns.
Yep.
But if fucking thousands and thousands of people think he's fucking sucks, he's not over. You know, you're just spending millions of dollars to force something, you know? It's so yeah, I find it to be kind of strange. But yeah, getting over matters, and I think it's a confidence thing. So yeah.
And
Um
going to like just doing the comment that's related to that, right? Like one of my most favorite things that I listen to time and time again, Eric Bischoff did a TEDx talk about how the media uses stuff from the pro wrestling playbook. The one
yeah, definitely.
thing that resonated for me with it, because it like about a good portion of that was about the pro wrestling industry. He come out, he did the whole heel thing, going, "Oh, what kind of response was that? Like, that's not fun. Why are you laughing? That's not funny." Like that was essentially is like that was a shit response, but obviously in a more diplomatic way. But one of the things that he said, right? I think it was either in relation to either one of the things that he learned from Vern Gagne, and he made mention of this during the TEDx talk, was when it comes to getting over, it doesn't matter how you're perceived so long as people feel strongly one way or another about you.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I'm just trying to think the difference between guys that are pushed and they're naturally over. You didn't have to push
Yeah.
The Rock hard. You didn't have to push Stone Cold, Ric Flair. And it feels as a fan, you know, a lot of people like, oh, you know, you become jaded, but as a fan, you want pro wrestling is the best entertainment in the world when done right. The problem is it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
hard to do it right. And
Oh, yeah.
you know, there's moments where you're just like this is when I think pro wrestling is done right. It doesn't matter what style you are. When you are watching it and your problems go away, that is the ultimate escapism. That's when it hits a home run. When Kurt Angle and HBK went at it, your problems went away. When Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, problems went away. Okada,
Exactly.
Omega, problems went away. I remember, I won't throw the company under the bus because that would be bullshit. TNA Impact Wrestling had a pay per view. And I got to go to all their shows for free. Thank you. With that said, well, everyone got to go for free, but still, you know, I was on the fucking list, okay? There's the difference between me and you. I was on a list.
Mm. I get ya. I get ya.
Anyway, I remember sitting there at a pay per view going, I really have to fucking cut my grass. Why the fuck am I here? My grass is very long. That is a bad pay per view. That is a bad pay per view. When you are inside the building going, fuck, I haven't cut my grass, that is by far the worst you can do. You know what I mean? You can't do anything worse than that. So, yeah. So, yeah, I
Going
just.
back,
Go ahead.
so continue, continue. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, bro.
No problem. No, that was pretty much it. That was pretty
Uh,
much it. I
it,
just.
I, like you were saying about people like they like watching certain matches, you sit there and make you forget the what. That's like you've just brought back a great memory of like sitting under the learning tree when I first got into wrestling. Yeah, I'll never forget. And this is a massive shout out to like one of my old like trainers, Jungle King. Fuck, like and oh mate, I could talk a couple of minutes about him, but I'll never forget the one thing that he said to all of us as a group. It's like you've got the paying fans come in. They've had a shit week at work, as in relation to what you were saying as well. Cheering, abusing the heel, going off at the heel is their escape and their release. We make like it's kind of like I guess that we kind of make them feel better. They forget about their shit week that they're having to provoke that emotion, to provoke that reaction. And when they walk away, they put their arm around their son or daughter, pat her back. That was a good show, wasn't it? They walk away feeling good. We're in the business of trying to provoke a reaction and to make people walk away going, "Oh wow, I can't wait to see what happens next," and
And
like just to be blown away and that good feeling.
and I agree with you. The only thing I want to add is not all reactions are good. We had a rule
Yeah.
in all the companies that I had to book. You can make fun of the fans. You could say, "Hey, you're fat. You have yellow teeth. You fucking, your face looks like it's been punched in." You can make fun of the fans. You cannot make fun of the fans that they're pro wrestling fans. And this is really
Yes.
cheap, easy heat. And you get a reaction. But do you know what the reaction is? They don't come back next week. Because, like, if you've been to a lot of wrestling events and been close to ring, indie events, because they don't really do it in WWE because, WWE is a marketing company and I know that's fucking dumb as fuck. But indie wrestlers do it all the time because they are dumb as fuck. But
Mm.
let's just say, like you're saying, they're going there. They had a shit week. They want to do escapism, and they're like, "Fuck you, heel number 7. You're the fucking worst." And heel number 7 wants to show off in front of the boys instead of the crowd, which is a fucking sin. And he goes, "Why don't you shut the fuck up? You're at a pro wrestling event, or you're just a fucking stupid mark." Every time you see it in their eyes. I know it sounds weird. I might be over exaggerating, being romantic here, but when you're that close to the ring, you see it in their eyes. They go, "You're right. I'm a fucking lawyer. What am I doing here?" And you will not see them next week.
Yeah.
You should never fucking mock. Like, there's always reactions, and it's cool to reaction because know what happens to those wrestlers? They feel good because they insulted someone. They get heel heat. People are booing them. The boys in the back are cheering them. But we're losing fans. No one,
Yeah.
and WWE does it sometimes, WCW does it sometimes, but wow, do indie wrestlers do it? Because the indie wrestlers would rather pop the boys in the back than sell tickets.
You want to know what makes me happy in like on a performing aspect with like getting over and getting heat and doing all that kind of stuff in relation to that is obviously the well placed spots where I'm a manager, I do the little niggling thing to really annoy the other wrestlers, and then the fans go, "Oh, get away from me, boo, you suck, Yuri, blah blah blah," right? And the fans are getting heated, but then all of a sudden there's just that one shine spot where the baby face just comes over, grabs me by my collar, punches me, hits me, clothesline me, pounces me, whatever, and the crowds go nuts. The one thing that resonated most with me, I managed a very talented young guy called Mike Chaos, and we were against and I think now at the moment, at least in Australia, the as far as I know, the only dwarf wrestler, Mr. Big, right? He's got a whole gimmick. He's like so over, absolutely fantastic, very smart guy, very smart guy. People don't realize this, right?
Yeah, I'm
We did
listening.
like a whole spot. We did a whole spot where Mike got on top, like pretty much got the one up on him. The fans went nuts, rah rah rah. I got involved somehow, and then like do the whole little big shine spot for the heel, going, "Yeah, we got ahead and done that." I have my back to going, "Yeah." The whole backfire, Big's gone empty, and I'm like, "Yes, we're good." Turn around. I was up on the apron, and he's turned around and done this whole ran at me, head butted me, and I did this big massive bump off the apron to put him over. I'm just like, fuck it, yeah. Like he's doing us a favor, we'll do him a favor. Soon as I hit the deck and the crowd saw me get hit, they went fucking nuts. And that's what, like, seriously, for me, that's my satisfaction when I'm involved from a performance standpoint. If I can make the crowd feel happy that I've got taken out and I've annoyed the shit out of them the entire match, and they and the face got their come up and I'll get that face over, I'm happy. I've done my job. I can see the fans are smiling. I can see the fans are genuinely happy, like, "Oh wow, he got what he was coming." But and then when I came out later on in the night, small group of fans decided to obviously heckle me. "Ah, you got knocked out." Rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, "Look, I've done my job." Like people wanted to see that happen, and it provoked. It's the reaction that I don't care if I get booed, right? But for me, it's all about that pop that I helped the babyface get. being a complete bag of dicks, and I've got it coming to me. You get what I'm trying to say and how I'm trying to explain it. I
Yeah,
know my words aren't.
you put the show and the story over yourself, and
Yeah,
yeah, more people got to be like that because this this will be the last thing we got because I got to get going soon, brother.
yeah,
But
that's all good.
the as a promoter, people pitch you ideas. As a booker, people pitch you ideas, and all the time it leads to them being champion. And this is how it does it. No one does like the role, but they're like, I'm gonna help get this guy over, and then the last second I'm gonna win, and then I'm gonna go for the title. Do you know how many times the promoter has heard that storyline? It's for real. It's just like, all right, there's my buddy Sam. Me and Sam, I'm going to put Sam over. Sam's going to put me over. We'll have a best of 7. It'll be epic. And then I'll beat Sam. And then I'll go for the title.
Oh, wow.
And like, you hear this so much that if anyone else has a different idea, it's a breath of fresh air. Long-term booking. I'm going to wrestle my best friend and get the best of him after a couple matches and then go for the title. Wow, really? I never heard that story. It's quite original there.
I'm all for, like, as a manager, obviously my primary goal is to enhance the person that I'm with. But the primary goal overall is to help get the babyface over. It's like, if I can do that, I've done my job. Help get the babyface over and help bring the heat for my guy. Great. It's just the satisfaction at the end of the day, man.
I just that's awesome. There's just one thing I also want to say, and I know you're a manager, and I hope you're not one of these managers, but these are the managers that pissed me off. Managers should be with someone that is missing that piece of gab. They can't talk. That's what managers should be for. Paul Heyman with, Brock Lesnar, Bobby the Brain Heenan with, Andre the Giant.
I agree.
But as a promoter / booker, when a manager comes up to me and is like, I'd like to be the voice of CM Punk. I'd like to be the voice of The Rock. I was like, listen, you don't need that. You know what I mean? They are amazing at cutting promos. Like at that time, you're just like, I don't know, you're a loser hanging out. You're a loser hanging out with the popular kids. It's like, no, you find, a tag team, muscleheads that can't talk. You find, that one guy who has something special, but when he grabs the promo, he's like, hey, what's going on? Like Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson was a pro wrestler, he'd probably need a manager. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you find guys like that, because you'd always see those like giant muscle heads and they do everything perfect and they grab the mic. Hey, what's going on, guys? Like, okay, you got a manager, buddy. You got a fucking manager. Or, they just can't figure it out. That's what managers are for. And I think not all pro wrestling companies use managers correctly. Like I would always be like, all right.
It's a lost art.
Yeah.
Is what it is, Dave. It's a lost art. Like even the art of the manager, that's another thing. That is a lost art. Like by all means, I'm not saying that I'm one of the greatest managers in the world. No way. I've still got heaps to learn, and I'm like, oh man, it's just. But it's like the promoters don't know how to use managers properly, and that's the problem. Like the promoters and the bookers these days.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, this podcast will save pro wrestling forever.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it will, but anyway.
Yeah. Yuri the Black, you can come back on anytime. I think I'm going to do this more often. We're trying to rebuild KocoSports. It's an uphill battle because algorithms against us, we curse, and time. But it's still a very important part of my life that I don't want to fade out completely. So we're doing a slow burn, Yuri. We're doing a slow burn.
Yep.
Slowly but surely building it back up. And hopefully in a year or two, we can just have it rocking and rolling. But yeah, that's the plan. Yuri, you have anything you want to push, promote?
like if you're okay for me to go ahead and for me to promote my both my Facebook page and my Twitter page.
How fucking dare you? You come on my fucking podcast to promote your. No, I'm just kidding. Go on.
I, I just want the okay, man. I'm not one of those guys. All right, guys, if you want to see more of the Pro Wrestling Manager of Champions, Yuri the Black, you'll be able to go to twitch.tv/Yuri, playing a lot of video games. Happy to chat about anything. Smash that follow button. Also, like I must say, like, and as well as that, you can also find Yuri the Black on Facebook as well. Smash a like there. And like, just yeah, what I would like to say is like, thank you for having me on the show as like a special co-host this week, discussing about like with the wrestling and stuff. It really means a lot, Dave. I'm looking forward to do it again. And I'll just leave you with one last thing, Dave. Always bet on black, baby.
I love you, brother. Hey, like, comment, subscribe, slowly but surely. It's the slow burn. That's what we're gonna call KocoSports. The slow burn. All right. Talk to you soon, Yuri. Internet infantry. Hit the like, comment, subscribe. Follow Yuri the Black everywhere in the mean streets of Australia. I mean, everywhere in social media. All right. Did I say like, comment, subscribe? I think I did. And with that,
yes, you did.
I am over. Hey, ba-dum-bum.